Welcome to Sci-Tech Swiss, the fastest growing world-class podcast of all times. We're kicking off the new year with a sponsorship drive during the WEF week in Davos with an exciting ad campaign with Ringier. Karina, over to you and tell our audience how they can hitch their wagon to our star.
Become a sponsor for the next episode or we produce one for you in our professional studio. Find us on premierswissmedia.com. Hi, thank you so much for being on Sci-Tech Swiss. It's so exciting to have you here. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very good, very good. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So because you're an advisor when it comes to the Web3 community and building this kind of technology, what kind of facts can you share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I mainly specialize in working with traditional brands that want to explore the opportunities in the Web3 and Metaverse space. So, because historically I have a background in working for big traditional brands, so this is where kind of my experience with the brand management and also understanding how the big brands and corporations really work. Plus, also being in the Web3 space for a few years now, this really helps me understand how those brands can benefit from the Web3 technology and how they can apply some of the technology to their business to bring some benefits both to their business but also to the customers and to the community.
And what are a couple of aspects to really take into consideration as an advisor advising these kind of brands?
Yeah, I think first the brand really needs to understand. I think when I work with the clients, it always starts with education, right? Because more often than not, the level of knowledge about Web3, Metaverse, blockchain, crypto, and all those different new technologies and buzzwords. There's a lot of misconceptions and people think they understand, but maybe they don't really understand what those mean. So it really always starts with education about the basic terminology. So really helping people understand what is behind those words, what does it actually mean, how they are connected, how they are different, and really trying to work off that. So making sure that everyone is kind of on the same page, at least the people who are involved in those types of initiative. And then a lot of time is being spent really on looking at different case studies, what other traditional brands have done in the Web3 and Metaverse space, and trying to learn from those case studies and trying to see what are some of the mistakes and what are some of the successes that those brands were having, and what we can learn from those and apply it potentially to that particular brand and the business. And obviously this then leads to the strategic discussion, if using the Web3 technology is something that even makes sense for the brand, or they just want to really understand where the industry is, what their competition is doing, and just being able to see if this is something relevant, if this is something they would like to act on now, or if they just want to monitor the space and maybe think about some initiative to execute later potentially.
Yeah, great. I totally agree with that. And what are a couple of misconceptions that you were referring to before?
Yeah, I think we've seen especially the Web3 and the NFT space evolve tremendously in the last 2 years. And the reasons why brands actually enter the space have also shifted from basically using NFT as a way to generate revenue and generate profit. Especially end of 21, beginning of 22, we saw a lot of companies treating NFTs as something they sell to the consumers as a sort of goods they sell to boost their profitability, to boost their revenue for the next quarter, and really treat it a lot as a speculative asset. While today, as we are in the depth of the bear market, and many of those attempts by the traditional brands, building community around NFTs they're selling to the Web3 community, many of those attempts have failed. While there are still some companies that have made some successful cases, a lot of those companies were not really successful and have not really successfully managed to generate something which is long-term sustainable. So the attention has shifted from how we leverage the NFT and Web3 technology to engage with the customers, potentially enhance the loyalty programs as we have them today, and not as a way to generate more money, but to enhance the experiences, enhance the loyalty, and use it as a tool to provide additional value to my customers, and still focusing on my core business, right? So if I'm a fashion brand, I focus on selling fashion because this is what I do best, right? And using NFT as a technology to create some loyalty, enhance the customer experience, provide additional benefits, additional value that will bring the customer closer to my brand, and we create another touch point how the person can learn more about the brand, can experience the brand in a new way, which ultimately results in more loyalty from the customer.
And because you mentioned about a couple of unsuccessful use cases, can you share a couple of examples with us and explain why they were unsuccessful?
Yeah, I think there are probably a few. I remember, for example, I think it was CNN or some sort of traditional news media house that has attempted to create some NFT platform where they would be selling some iconic moments, photographies, news as NFTs, and build some community around it. And a few months later, as we entered the bear market, they were forced to close the platform. Many of the people who initially invested, bought into the project, were very much disappointed because this is a huge brand, and it was perceived as a rug pull from many of the people who were involved. So I think this is the danger for brands who enter purely for the short-term monetary gain, and they do not really have the long-term vision and the long-term motivation to generate something sustainable that's gonna have a lasting effect, right? Because if you want to build a community, right, you need to think beyond the next quarter, beyond the next 6 months, and also taking into consideration the fact that we are in a very highly volatile environment, right? All the crypto, NFTs, Web3, I mean, it's extremely volatile, and having the peaks of euphoria where people are crazy about the technology and want to invest, with the prolonged periods of bear markets, that's something to be expected, and that's also something that the brands need to acknowledge and account for, because this is the kind of the territory that they are in, right? And they need to be prepared to build and to continue to develop and continue to engage with the community throughout the bear market, not only when the times are good and when there is hype to sell out the NFT collection, but also create something meaningful that is actually engaging regardless if we are in a peak bull market or bear market.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And what are a couple of strategies when it comes to maximize profitability when it comes to these brands who are entering the Web3 space?
I think the profitability, as I mentioned, today, it really depends, but I think most brands should really focus on not really, using NFTs as something they sell, right? But rather something that they use to reward the existing customers, right? So I really like the recent initiatives from Dior, for example, or from Alo Yoga, which are the examples of the brands that are actually using NFTs as a reward mechanism for their customers. So imagine you buy a Dior shoes, right? They have released a limited edition of shoes, and if you buy the shoes, you scan the shoe, and there is an NFC chip in the shoe, and you can claim the NFT, which then basically is a free NFT, is a free token that gives you early access to future collections, gives you access to future additional benefits, potentially like events, exclusive merchandise that you can purchase, etc., etc. So it's a form of loyalty program which you get access to as a reward for being a loyal customer to the brand, rather than the model that we've been seeing early, like in 2021, when people actually bought an NFT and then they use this NFT to claim the physical goods, right? I think that was kind of the reverse mechanics, but I think, you know, the mechanics that, you know, if you are a fashion brand, you sell fashion, you sell physical fashion, this is your expertise, right?
Exactly.
So kind of focus on how we can enhance the experience of the customers that come because they want to buy our physical pieces, and we can kind of, you know, create a digital experiences for them and create some loyalty platform using the digital tools like NFT and Web3. So, you know, rewarding people who buy your physical piece of goods is makes sense because they are existing customers, they've already spent money on your brand, you know, they are interested in your brand and they are not buying it because they want to speculate on NFT, you know, price going up or price going down. And then you have additional touch point to stay in touch with the customer. And this is also what Alo Yoga did. So they have done a winter collection, and if you bought some of the merchandise, you could claim an NFT, and then this gave you access to some of the yoga classes, some of the yoga studios they have in the US. So there's also like additional free benefit and also new way for customers to experience the brand and to get some, you know, additional benefit and feel really, you know, rewarded for being the customer, which I think, you know, further enforces the loyalty by the customer for that particular brand.
Yeah, very interesting. And what are a couple of KPIs to really take into consideration?
Yeah, I think this really depends on what is the objective, right, and what is the project. So I think, you know, we can look at maybe two different pillars. If you're a brand which is looking to you know, create some virtual, you know, metaverse experience, then you would probably be looking at, you know, how many people visit my experience, how much time they really spend within the experience, how they engage within the different maybe challenges, you know, experiences, you know, small experiences or mini games within that particular experience. I think those would be the KPIs. And then if there are any opportunities to maybe claim, purchase any, you know, digital merchandise, or maybe, you know, click through those or visit through those digital experiences, you know, your website or your e-commerce portal, etc., right? You would be also measuring, you know, what is the click-through rate and what is the conversion through those different platforms, right? So those would be, you know, for those digital experiences and metaverse experiences. If you are looking at, you know, the Web3 loyalty programs, then it would be, you know, more traditional, you know, KPIs like what is the frequency of the purchase, what is the basket size of those customers who engage with the loyalty program. And then also, I mean, if you are a traditional brand who you know, introduces the technology as something new to their customers, then if you, for example, release a collection and say, look, whoever buys this particular piece of goods can claim the NFT, right? Then you would be measuring how many people actually claim the NFT, kind of to understand how many people are interested in the technology, how many people are interested in, you know, the benefits, you know, the membership in that particular loyalty program. And then you would be measuring, you know, how they actually engage. I mean, if they really claim the benefits, if they, you know, using the benefits that you offer through the loyalty program. And if you know, offer additional challenges, like for example, if we look at the Starbucks as another traditional brand using Web3 and NFTs for the loyalty program, which is called Odyssey, right? They have different challenges that people have to complete to get some benefits, right? So it would be basically measuring, you know, how many challenges people complete, how fast they complete it, etc. Right? So those would be kind of the KPIs, and then obviously through that you measure how that particular customer, how often do they return to buy additional goods, right? How much of that, how much do they spend on your brand, and yeah, I think it's and if they for example buy some additional, you know, goods and services apart from what was their usual behavior, if you can actually upsell them to maybe some additional services, additional goods that you as a company also offer, right? Like for example, Alo Yoga, they don't only have you know, the the clothing, but they also have some studios, etc. Right? So if you are a company which is spread across different business pillars, then you would also be looking at how you manage to maybe cross-sell or upsell those customers to different goods and services that you offer as well.
Wow, yeah, very, very interesting, honestly. And what are some potential risks when it comes to transitioning to the Web3 space?
Yeah, I think that the risk is really rushing it for most brands. It's or basically not spending enough time to really understand first if this is something that you actually need to do, and because before you decide to do any Metaverse Web3 initiative, you need to really look at what is the business problem that you're trying to solve, right? Because it should not be like, okay, we feel like Metaverse is cool, we do Metaverse, or we feel like NFT is nice, some NFTs, but there should be some business problem that you're trying to solve, and if you feel like the Metaverse experience or the digital experiences or the Web3 or NFT and the loyalty, etc., are the right tools to really help you solve that particular business problem, right? So when it's Metaverse, right, it can be that you would like to that you feel like you are struggling with the brand awareness across the younger generation, right, the younger target audience, and you find that gaming and Metaverse and those digital platforms like Roblox could bring you additional awareness across this younger generation, younger population, right, to build a brand and also to tell your brand story, to really help people understand what your brand really stands for, and give new opportunities for people to engage with your brand rather than just through traditional advertising, which less and less people are really receptive to. So this is additional touch points. So this could be one way to solve some problem, which is brand awareness across younger population, right? When it comes to Web3, I think why many brands launch Web3 or have launched Web3 initiatives is that because they feel like this is a fast growing space. There is a specific target group of people who are relatively affluent, right, who have some money, and those are also people who are very difficult to target with traditional media, right? So suddenly you have like relatively young affluent population, difficult to target, but it's an amazing target group for luxury goods, right? Because those people, they have money, they usually live in the Western countries, etc. So for the luxury brands, I think it's a very attractive target group. And to engage those people, you kind of need to speak their language. You need to create engaging experiences that would be interesting for them, right? So if you are targeting people in the Web3 space, NFT, right, those are the things that they like to engage with, right? So it really makes sense that those companies are trying to pilot some of the initiative involving NFTs, evolving Web3, and also for many young people, the concept of digital ownership is something new, but it's also something very interesting that they're looking to explore, because many young consumers are used to kind of owning or buying some virtual goods, digital assets through different games, etc. So it's a concept that is I think more and more familiar for the next generation of consumers. So for brands, it's also a way to explore the technology, learn a little bit, build the capabilities internally, build processes, and really understand what works, what doesn't work, and how those initiatives will resonate with those Web3 native audiences and the young generation of consumers, right? Because we are very, very early, but those brands they do launch those initiatives and they invest in the space because they still want to be relevant in the next 3, 5, 10 years, and they see that the Web3 space offers a lot of opportunity to target those young audiences and also cover an incremental I would say demographic that they may not have been talking to before.
Yeah, totally. And do you see any upcoming trends that people are more interested in?
Yeah, I think, the trend is really about, as I mentioned, right? So it's really less about, launching NFT collections and selling NFTs, for the immediate profit, because, many people are now very much skeptical about, brands asking for like millions of dollars upfront with the promise of some utility, of some roadmap, of some, parties or whatever this might be, right? People really want to be rewarded, because why should I spend like, $2,000 for an NFT to have the opportunity to go to a party of a traditional brand, right? I think we always need to distinguish between the Web3 native brands and kind of the traditional brands, entering the NFT space. If you buy and if you invest in an NFT from a Web3 native brand like Yuga Labs, for example, there is always an element of, speculation, investment, etc. If you buy an NFT from a fashion brand, let's say Gucci or something, you don't really feel like you invest in Gucci, right? You're not really investing in the future success of Gucci, because it's a big established company which already exists, right? But you buy it because there are certain benefits and certain, there is a certain utility behind it, right? And I think the tricky part for most brands is to really find the balance between, the speculation, the value behind the NFT, or the value proposition. That's why I think many brands will be shifting towards, not using the NFT as an asset that people need to buy, but also like mainly as a reward mechanism. Because if you buy a piece of clothes and you claim the NFT for free, I mean, there's nothing to complain about, right? It's a free NFT. You get access to some additional benefits. You can use it. You don't have to use it, right? But if you buy an NFT for $1,000 and then, there is an event and you cannot attend it and it's super shitty and not everyone can attend, and maybe they sell like 1,000 NFTs and the capacity for the event is 50 people, it's like there's a lot of room for disappointment, a lot of room for, inflated expectations from the people who kind of invest in those projects. So and there is a lot of risk for the brand and for the company, right? Because they kind of have people who have invested in the project at various stages, because some people may invest in the beginning, some people may invest a little bit later, and those people have different expectations, and because everyone kind of feels like I should be getting something because I have invested in the project, right? And then you're stuck kind of a little bit in the cycle of like, we need to fulfill the expectations of that community, and not only because they got it because they like our brand, but also because they've invested, considerable amount of money, into the NFT, right? So it's a very tricky concept. So, but if you make the NFT for free, you provide some, additional value to the customers. There is really nothing to complain about. There is nothing to hate about. So, the risk of the reputational risk for the brand is very minimal, and the chance of delighting your customer and providing with additional value, it's an upside, right, that the brands can really benefit from.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a very interesting insight. And it's really interesting to know more about the customer behavior and what they should really take into consideration before merging into something like this. So I would like to thank you so much for taking your time. It was a pleasure really speaking with you about that, and I really hope that we will cover more similar topics in the future, especially about the customer loyalty programs, because it's something really interesting to me. And I really like the NFTs from Starbucks because I'm actually a huge fan. So
yeah, no, I'm very happy to connect later on. I think the loyalty is gonna be one of the hottest use cases, I think, in the coming years. And many brands, we've already seen a lot of brands kind of exploring the how Web3 can enhance the traditional loyalty programs. And I think we'll only continue to see more and more brands, entering the space and using loyalty, as a way to also explore Web3 and how they can use the technology, because loyalty is something that most brands know very well. It's something where they already invest, so they have the budget, they have some capability, they already have some a lot of experience. But many of the loyalty programs are outdated, and they are looking how to innovate within the loyalty space, because a lot of brands also struggle to engage their customers with loyalty programs, because many customers today, they are part of many loyalty programs, they're not very much engaged, and especially the younger generation of customers may not really resonate with the way that loyalty programs were designed 10 years ago or 15 years ago, right? They're looking for something new, something gamified, getting some rewards, and having some digital assets, digital experience is something that probably resonates more with the younger generation than most of the companies intend to target.
Yeah, I totally agree with the gamification process. It's really a buzzword that I've been really that I really heard a lot of times. So I really think that when people are referring to the metaverse and to the Web3 space, they really should make this experience more fun and entertaining.
Definitely agree on that.
All right, so thank you so much again. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.